It's a high chaos ball, a wobbler. Oh, Reynolds, favoured by the bounce. He's going to turn it round the body, and he's got enough on it.
Hi everybody, welcome to Before the Bounce. Got plenty to get through tonight. I hope you can stay with us. As always, the superstar McGarry medalist Greg Anderson joins me. And
I'm very excited. This is my favourite time of the week.
All right,
I love it.
Let's get excited, mate. Let's talk about, we've got lots to get through, but I've got to get across this one first, of course. The Crows win against Hawthorn by 35 points. We know it's a relief, mate. 395 days
a long
it was.
time.
So their last win was back on August the 3rd last year when they beat St Kilda.
Yeah.
Pick up the advertiser this morning, front page, back page, Crows win. There's a little bit, I mean, we're excited because they got a win. We're really happy for Nixie. You and I were talking before we came on, but does it warrant front page and back page of the advertiser?
Well, look, I mean, they've basically been cut down since the grand final and a couple of years ago. Once that siren blew, and Richmond all over our screens and the newspapers, and the Crows have just been belted really since that particular moment. So I think it's good for them. Pats on the back. They've had a really tough 12 months. And not just on the field, but off the field. Everyone there seems to be scrutinised, which is very unfair for the players' point of view. And it's probably nice, for Nixie. And that's who when that siren went, I thought that's great for him. Because I heard him chat before the season started at a breakfast. Just so impressive. I was really looking forward to for the footy season for him. I really thought that what he had to say, I was really excited about. And thought, wow, what an impressive guy. What an impressive guy. And of course, everyone just turned sour, very sour.
We've mentioned it a couple of times on the show. And what do we take away from the win? We saw a lot of improvement, so we're encouraged by that. We've seen a lot of young kids play. So as a Crows supporter, you'd be encouraged by that. But I reckon the one, and I keep coming back to it, is that when he came in, they're having a season where they can't get a win, yet not once have we heard a murmur, a complaint, players bitching and moaning, nothing from management. You sense that was the problem last year and previous years that isn't there this year. And you've played in footy clubs. It takes a long time to get that right, and it's a big part in moving forward. They've got that right. If ever there was going to be one, it's going to be in a season where you're not winning.
Well, one situation with the Crows, they're always everywhere.
Yep.
Any moment you hear. And I really thought Nixie must have been a direction from Matthew Nix. We want to close shop.
Yep.
Things aren't going right for us. We know what the past, and what I'm taking from the past. Let's just close it up. And you're so right. In the papers, things are going terribly for the Crows.
Yep.
But I think in-house, they were trying to be as positive as they could.
I agree.
They seem to be really close. As a playing group, and you could see obviously the relief. But I don't normally say this too often, but I saw a little bit of love there last night within the players, and I think that's a really big step for them.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're going to win the next couple of games, look, that's questionable. But I think it leads into we've done the right thing by closing it, keeping it in house. We know we've got to recruit. We know we've got to get some games at the younger players. I think at the moment they've ticked a few boxes.
I agree. Look, I think it's doubtful. Well, they got Collingwood, Essendon, and Richmond. Not a real good run. Maybe Essendon, but I think it's been good. On the other side, of course, across town, Sam Powell-Peppers recently re-signed, and he's been playing really well.
He's played really well, but he is hard. Wow, he's a
unit.
Bone cruncher when he tackles, ruthless, and always very fair. I mean, I know he was, really takes his hat off and really thanks Boakey a lot, because I think they
live together.
They live together.
Yep.
Probably Boakey's saying just calm down, tackle hard, and just move away from the contest. And I saw that a couple of times. He really hit a couple of fantastic tackles. He just got up. He never pushed the guy, which he normally would perhaps 12 months ago. He just got up and he just went straight to where we needed to go for the boundary throw in or the ball up. So hat off to Boakey on that one.
I reckon Boakey's done a great job. He might find there's going to have a few more borders coming from Power when they have a problem child. They'll probably move with Boakey.
I think that's very.
I want to ask you this quickly. Robbie Gray's been moved back into the midfield. It's been very quietly done. He had a ripping half really in the midfield against Sydney. Is it A, because not enough action up there as a small forward, or B, he's such a weapon in the midfield that we're going to see him more in there with Powell-Pepper?
I think he's a weapon in the midfield, no question. He's very, very important as a forward. But I think why the big Charlie keeps plunking him, there's nothing coming to the ground. He was outstanding last Saturday again. He just fantastic set of hands. So he's probably not getting the crumbs like we know Robbie can get.
Yep.
And let's chuck him in the full. And I think he got about 15 odd possessions on the ball in the second half. So that was really important to him.
All right, Charlie Dixon's just signed for 3 years. I know he's having a breakout year. would have you signed him for 3 years? Does he deserve a 3-year contract?
It's better that he signed this year for 3 than last year. Because last year, I reckon his value would have been half what it is at the moment. And look, the Port supporters absolutely love him. He's playing fantastic footy. It's just for him and his team a great time to sign. It's a great time to sign.
All right, I want you to think about this for a moment. Geelong and Port Adelaide play in the grand final at the Gabba, because we know it's now at the Gabba.
Yep.
Going into grand final day, you've had a chance to sneak into the Geelong coaches box, and you're hearing all the coaches talk, and they finally go, I think we've got everything covered. Tommy Hawkins, who's had an unbelievable season in front of goals, I reckon they're saying, now if Hawks has a good game, we can win this.
Win centre half forward, you win the game.
Then you've been able to sneak over into the power box, and they're saying, gee, we've had a great year. I think we've got everything covered now. If Charlie Dixon can have a breakout game, I reckon we've got this one. Now, just for a moment, what you're saying is that in Geelong, we're relying on winning the grand final if Hawkins brings his A game. In the power box, we're relying on Charlie Dixon. If he brings his A game, we get a win.
Not from 2019, my ad.
Are you a bit nervous?
2020, yes. Yes, it's incredible how much 12 months has
changed them both.
Changed both of those players and becoming such important players in their teams. It's amazing.
All right, let's have a look outside of Adelaide, mate. Now, do you think Reece is starting to get a little unsure about Jared Pollock?
Well, I couldn't believe when he got dropped. I mean, the responsibility is still on a coach is to improve a player. Now, Jared finished in the top, I think, half a dozen last year in North Melbourne's best and fairest in his first year. Very exciting, runs with the ball, probably plays a bit wide, perhaps a bit different than perhaps Reece would like. But, well, he's really gone, obviously, backwards this year. And I don't think dropping a player of his experience
he's their big money player.
and his talent is it's got to be questionable from a coaching group point of view of why is he down there? I don't get it.
Well, he's lost some form. All right, let me ask you this one, mate. Goal cameras, are they really necessary, the goal cameras?
And by the way, North Melbourne pretty average team too.
Well, four goals,
there's about 15
good,
players I would drop before Jared Pollock.
I don't think Jared's the only one.
Jeez,
but, I defend him a little bit when, again, everybody needs to be up and about. And he's not one of those players that's playing in the midfield where he can turn the game. He's relying on other things happening. So, and 4 goals, 4 is not a lot to write home about, is
There's
it?
zero.
The goals. Do we need the cameras at goals? Are they necessary?
I think today's footy it is. I think it is. I think to leave something that can be done technology-wise. When we know the outcome on games, how important that is, and obviously the goals and points, it wavers it all. It really does. And I mean, we're talking what the AFL make out of betting. For the public, the pressure on those goal umpires, that ball shooting over at that sort of that speed, it's the technology's there. Let's use it.
All right. So they just show that one time, and if it's not conclusive, that's it. As opposed to 15 replays of it while we're sitting there waiting for them to decide. We see it 15 different ways.
That's where they've got to get it right. Oh, no question. They've got to get it right. It's basically, I think there's a time period. I think they've got 10 seconds to get a decision and run with it, and that's it.
All right, I want to ask you this, and I know I like to come out from left field from time to time with some guys. Are we trying to purify the game that much that we've got goal umpires, we've got replays, we've got them mic'd up? I know this will sound ridiculous, but are we getting to the point where we're going, you know what, not happy with the football anymore, it's a bit out of shape, it bounces all over the place, let's use a round ball.
I always remember...
which is the unique part of our game, but they keep taking away all the unique parts. Can't tackle, can't bump, can't... I'm wondering... why don't we just say, let's make the footy round like Gaelic footy?
The incredible thing was, I've been watching a Geelong-Collingwood game. It was quite a few years ago, and Bomber Thompson at that stage was coaching Geelong. They got beaten by Collingwood. In the press conference, he said, all I want you to do, you have a look at the TV screen and see how many Collingwood players there are on the screen compared to Geelong. That's why we lost the game. Today's football is about getting players in the screen for TV, and they want movement, and they want quick action. It's made for spectating from the big box.
Oh, it's an interesting one, isn't it? You'd think if that's what they're concerned about, they'd allow more interchange so they can have more people coming in and out. But that's the reason they don't do it.
Doesn't
look good for TV.
Yeah, but you don't see it on TV.
No, that's why
you don't see it on TV. How do you take away a rule that's been in the game from the very, very start, 100 odd years ago, where you kick out from the goal square? How did you change that because you want it quickly out there for TV?
Yep.
That's a huge part of our game.
So are TV dictating the way the game should be played?
No question.
Kind of looks like it.
No
doesn't it?
question.
Yeah. I mean, if you go down, they're in the change rooms. They're everywhere now. You kind of go, are we starting to get too intrusive? I like a bit of mystique. I don't particularly want to see what's going on in the change room before the game.
You
I just
see
want to
everything.
I know, but don't you reckon as a fan, you want a bit of mystique?
Well, can
Isn't
I
that
just
what
say,
makes the game
look,
intriguing?
during that COVID time, the number of games that they played, from state games to some grand finals back in 1985, whatever the case, people would come to me and say, we absolutely loved it.
Yes.
Absolutely loved that footy. Now it was slower football in the way of, when there's a ball up, it's slower, point, it's slower coming out, umpire pushing everyone out away and stop the melees and throw it. How can so many people come to me and say, I love it?
Well, you're seeing the best. They're showing you the best games and the style of game.
Yeah,
Hey, just quickly
good point.
before we get to the break, I want to ask you this one. At the start of this season, you and I sat here and talked about what's going to happen with COVID, what's going to go on. And I remember we had the conversation where they're cutting the coaches back. The game's going to slow down. We're going to see lower scores because they don't want to see the mistakes. Now, really, other than Geelong, Brisbane and probably Richmond, we haven't seen any teams high scoring. We've seen the odd one, but it's been a lot of that low scoring games because remember we said they don't want to make mistakes, they're going to slow it down. And I remember you saying, gee, I hope they don't do that, but I think that's where it's going to go. That's exactly where it's gone. Now the AFL's about, well they have, $3 million off of the coaching setup in there. So there's going to be coaches and they're being told now that they're either going to take a pay cut or they're not going to be there next year. Why would it change? I think it's going to go the same way. I think we're in for a boring lot of footy next year with coaches overloaded to go, we have to go safe, we can't go fast. So I understand why they're making the cut, but I reckon the AFL is going to acknowledge by making those cut to coaches, the standard of the game is going to drop away. I do not want to hear one more person say, by cutting the coaches, the game's going to get better. Bollocks.
You're spot on, and I really do appreciate you saying we then, because you brought that argument up and you ticked every box, and I think that's why you brought it up again. That's okay, but I do appreciate you said we.
I told you so.
Oh, you told me so.
All right, we need to get a break. We need to hear from our sponsors. Back in a moment.
It's here, no show without Ando. I could just see all the viewers are going, now, finally I can watch the show.
This is what we've tuned in for. No show without Ando. I can't believe Kramer and Jerry aren't watching.
I actually watched Little Jerry last night, the cockfight. Rooster, it was hilarious. But there was so much I want to say about that one, but we'll leave the cockfight alive. Little Jerry, what a champion. What a champion.
What do you got for us on No Show Without Ando?
Now, you're coaching a team that had to win the last game to make the 8. Lost by 3 points. One umpire in particular made some poor decisions, 2 of which cost goals. Is it appropriate for you in a press conference to say, the dingo took the wrong Chamberlain?
The dingo took my baby. Look, there's probably a lot of answers to it, really, isn't there? It's an interesting one. I want to just say for a moment, when you go into those press conferences... Yeah,
because you've been there with basketball. We've got a live audience and they're laughing at the comment. The dingo took my baby, took the wrong Chamberlain.
And I've been there with the AFL coaches and watched how that process unfolds. So just so that the viewers get an idea, the game finishes, you're handed a whole lot of stat sheets. At the same time, you're trying to think how I'm going to go and address the playing group on what has happened throughout the game. And obviously, a win makes it easier. Here's the stat sheets. At the same time, you've got the media person telling you what you should be expecting and what you can say. Then you've got 3 or 4 of the coaches saying, Ando's rolled his ankle, Rocky's flipped his shoulder out. So you've got that information as you go out. So it's a massive amount. Again, at the end of the game, when you're emotive, that a couple of calls have gone against you to decide the game.
And you won't be in the 8.
And you can't make the 8. Now you've walked in and the first question directed at you is, what do you think about the umpiring? Ooh. Now, under the AFL rules, of course, you can't comment on the umpires. So there's that moment where you want to let it go. But as a coach, generally speaking, most coaches will go, I know in my time I'd go, the game's played over 100 minutes. If you're talking about 2 bad calls deciding the game for us, I think you've got it wrong. But now we're talking, that's when we're sitting here and we're nice and calm and you've asked me. Now you've got all this raw emotion inside you that's taken you out of the 8, which may cost you your job as a coach as well. I think this is the moment where the AFL needs to have someone in the press conferences that now says that question's inappropriate. The coaches aren't here to talk about the umpires, it's against the rules. If very similar to I walk in to do a press conference. We're playing North Melbourne next week, and Billy Smith, that plays for North Melbourne, has been picked up for drunk driving. And in the middle of the press conference, someone says to me, "Oh, Billy Smith got picked up for drunk driving, probably won't be playing next week." Any comment on that? Now, as coaches, we try and answer the questions that the media give us. So, again, you need someone in there to defend you. I know you're laughing because I'm avoiding the question. The answer is, would I say something or not? Hell yeah. You know, especially if I'm going to lose my job, I'm telling you right now, I want to see those two on the replay. I've seen them before I come in here. We had a look at them in the box. Bozo got it wrong, and it cost us the game.
Because I've seen you like that. That's why I asked the question. You've been ruthless at the press conference in your day.
There have been a couple where you go, I just need to let it go. You know.
So sorry for just smirking there, but I'm going back to when you were coaching.
You have those moments. And normally it's a build-up over a couple of years. You know, the years where you can handle it. And then there's a time when you're feeling, we're a chance. We're flying here. If we can get into the finals, I reckon we can go the whole way.
And the pressure as well. I mean, you've been a premiership coach a number of times, and you want the ball. You want to keep rolling.
Absolutely. I've had the one where it's been a call at the end of the game, which has decided the game, and that's the one that breaks your heart. You can live with the ones during the game, but the last call of the game that says, "Well, I gave away a free kick and they goaled and they win by a point," or we went to block a shot and suddenly it's a 3-point shot. Simon's got this. All those dynamics. You are filthy. You are filthy, and you can't contain it. That's why I think they need to have someone now at the press conferences going, "Can't ask that question."
That's the key.
That's the secret.
That's the key.
And it's not too far away. They've got it at tennis. You know, if you go to any of the Grand Slams, there's someone standing there, inappropriate question, doesn't have to answer it. I think that's where we need to go. All right, let's go to a break while I cool my shoe. It was your mate. I'm going to put my feet in the ice bucket and go, Ando fired me up. Dirty dog. Take a break. Back in a moment while I punch Ando a couple of times. It's time to have a look at Game of the State. Of course, this is brought to us by our good friends at Air Diffusion Agencies, mate. They are everywhere. Welland, Salisbury, Longdale, South Australia. They're also Queensland and Darwin. I tell you, Billy Threadgold is the man to talk about if you want to get some good deals on that. Just before we get to State of the Game, mate, I want to send a cheerio to Troy Harvey. Huge congratulations, mate. 400 senior games at the Gazer Footy Club. Unbelievable. Started there in the under-11s. He started playing senior footy in 1995, right up until now. Played his 400th game in the C grade. So
I coached him, and I wished him all the very, very best for his 400th. He's a terrific lad. Just loves the club, and he would have spent way more time off the field, you know, like working at the club and helping, you know, those working bees and behind the bar and cooking and all that sort of stuff, than the hours he would have spent on the oval.
I tell you what, you love those guys at your club. They're the backbone of the footy club,
he's the backbone.
You know, so 43 years of age, still playing C grade senior footy to rack up his 400th. Well done to Troy Harvey. All right, mate, let's have a look at Great Southern League. What do you got?
Great Southern League, we've got round 8. Has put a gap between 5th and 6th, so you got the top 5 all there. Victor Harbour had its first win, knocking off Strath by 38 points.
Not bad for your first win.
It's a good win, At least you got a win on the board.
What do you reckon that means for Victor Harbour? Oh, no, we covered that earlier in the show with the Crows.
They probably didn't get the same coverage as the Crows, but they had their first win as well.
Their front page and back page will be tomorrow.
That's it, Langorn Creek killed off Yankalilla's hopes, so they're out now, so that's no good. And Willunga cemented 5th by smacking Maipolonga Salix by 88 points. So they're good form going to the finals.
All right, mate. Yankalilla must have some depth issues because at the top, mate, it's pretty talented with probably 5
ex-South
Adelaide players going on there.
Really surprising when I looked at their list.
Coach Lindsay Thomas didn't play.
Yeah, he didn't play. So, it's a big... I mean, he's a super player. You know, he probably gives them a lot of confidence. So, he'll be, sorely
missed. All right, mate. Let's have a look at the Southern Footy League, mate. Fair bit happening down there. Flagstaff Hill played second Christie's Beach in the game of the round. Gee whiz, they're in great touch, Flaggies. They've got a test coming up against Noarlunga this weekend. It's a replay of the grand final on Saturday, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And just quickly, the women play finals have started for the women on Sunday at Morfett Vale Oval. So the Ranella girls are up against Cove. That'll be an interesting one. So see how that plays out.
Billy's got another final this week as well because Ranella play Port Noarlunga So that's 5th and 6th
Yep.
on the same points.
Yep.
Whoever wins it then plays in the one of the elimination the
Well,
following week.
Ranella
So it's a little final.
Ranella
Hey,
hitting some
they're in good form at the
mate. Got
moment.
over your team, Cove, just nicely. The young boys are coming together pretty good there.
Won by about 6 or 7 goals. So yeah, Ranella had a really good last month or so of footy. So they're going to be hard to.
It
hard
would look right now though
to
that
beat.
Flaggies are the team to beat. They are
Oh,
in
they're
scintillating form,
ruthless.
mate. Well,
Absolutely
Christie's Beach,
ruthless.
they held Christie's Beach to 1 point
Yeah,
for
I
the
know.
second half. So
And
that was
I
supposed to be
said-
the game of the round. Was
I
going to be
said
close.
last week I would love to go and see this game because it's going to be a cracker.
Yep.
What a fizzle it was.
Well, we hope
Just
for a cracker
fizzle.
this weekend in the replay of last year's grand final. Hey, we need to get to a break. We're nearly at 3/4 time. Stay with us. Yes, you're watching Before the Bounce. So we're into the last quarter, Ando. I want to ask you this, mate. Brownlow medal, because we're not that far away. So I've got Travis Boak up there with Lockie Neal,
Yeah.
Nick Natanui,
Yep.
and Dusty Martin as my Fab Four.
Well,
Do you reckon Bokey's a chance? I mean, Port sit on the top of the ladder, mate. He's had an unbelievable year. We know the character of the guy, so he hasn't been sledging the umpires. Is there enough to say that he could be a good chance?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of sharing of the votes. I think with Port. I mean, the one thing about Bokey, and I think it's been a bit of his Achilles heel over the last few years when I thought he was going to poll really well, and he didn't really poll as well as everyone thought that he would. He gets down and dirty, gets the ball out, but he doesn't probably carry the ball like previous winners. And I think Lockie Neal and a Fife,
they're more electrifying to watch, aren't they?
They run and really carry the ball.
Yeah.
And Bokey, ends up with 15, 16 handballs, which most players wouldn't even get it out.
Yeah.
So he's doing it tough. He's an absolutely
So
superb
not
leader,
spectacular
but not
enough to-
spectacular enough to maybe.
So is that where Nick Natanui has the advantage?
He's got the
Because he
advantage.
stands out.
I mean,
athletic.
Dangerfield, he just gets the ball and runs. You look at Lockie Neal as well. He's just a superb runner with the ball. Fifey in previous years, I'll just mention that as well. He gets the ball and he loves to run with it. But Bokey is just a workhorse, just an absolute workhorse.
Do you reckon there's a sleeper in there somewhere? Is there a sleeper in there?
I still think Patrick Cripps is from Carlton.
Yep.
I think Carlton have won quite a few games this year and lost a couple where he's played
pretty
brilliantly.
cool.
And they've only lost by a few points
And
as
he
well.
stands out.
And you can never leave out Dangerfield.
No.
You can't leave out because he's that player
Yep.
that he only gets. There's a quarter I reckon he got 3 or 4 possessions, but I reckon he carried the ball 40 metres, and the umpires see that. They see this, this the danger just going. The crowd get electrified, even though we're still talking
crowds,
10 or 25,000.
Dusty's of the same ilk, isn't
Dutch is the same.
Yeah. Hey, I want to talk to you about the final being in Brisbane. So we now know it's at the Gabba unless Corona breaks loose.
Yep.
Adelaide's the backup spot, so it's going to be in Brisbane. I hear a lot of people, I'm talking to a lot of people going, massive advantage for the Brisbane Lions playing in Brisbane. I disagree with that because the advantage for playing in Brisbane at the Gabba has always been the heat. Teams coming from Victoria, the cold and the wet, or from Adelaide, adjusting to the heat and the humidity of Brisbane. Now they've been in the hubs, they're all adjusted to that. So I reckon that big advantage is now gone. Then the second one I hear is, it's better for them because they're all in their own beds up there in Brisbane. I don't know about that either because as a coach...
Not after week after week after week. One night is quite different.
The disruptions that you got when your families are... And it's lovely to have them, but they are a distraction. Now, I'm a coach. I'm in the hub. I've got more time in the hub than I've got at home because I don't have the distractions.
Yeah.
So as far as being able to analyse the teams, spend more time in my preparation, I'm actually better placed than the assistant coaches that are living in Brisbane with their families. So I think the edge is where you say Brisbane have the advantage because of the Gabba is taken away because of the heat. I think and Brisbane haven't played that many games at the Gabba either. It's not like they're playing all their games.
Right.
So some teams have actually played more games in the hub at the Gabba than Brisbane have played this year.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know I sound like I'm defending Brisbane. I'm not. I just think that those edges that people think the advantages they've got aren't as clear as they can be.
It's really interesting because like when I first moved to Essendon and we get to play in Sydney and Perth and Brisbane, etc. And all of a sudden you're rooming with with one of your teammates. It's just for one night, and he snores the whole night. I get no sleep. You know what I mean? So that's taken out of the equation.
Yep.
You're staying with teammates or by yourself that you're very comfortable with, and it's week in, week out, week in, week out. So you follow the routine.
Yep.
Then you go up to Brisbane.
Yep.
And you do a bit of a training run on the Saturday before you might play on a Sunday, and You've trained for an hour. You've come from something that's like 16,
degrees.
six to to 10 degrees.
Yep.
You go to Brisbane on the Saturday, warming, getting yourself ready for the next day. I'm exhausted. I'm sweating. It's it's
heat
30,
training,
it's
isn't it?
32 degrees.
Yeah.
In July. So yeah, you're right. That makes a big difference. Which was a home ground advantage to Brisbane.
No question.
You're taking that off the table.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I know
point.
last year, my time in Brisbane, that was the first thing I noticed the first couple of times I was up there was how draining the heat was. And I wasn't playing, I was just running around a little bit or jumping in time to time.
It's not like it's for a week.
No.
And most of the clubs have all acclimatised, have all spent time.
Yep.
Like we're talking 5-6 weeks in a hub. It's second nature to them now.
All right, I want to ask you this about Port Adelaide coming into coming into the grand final. And the advantage of having played finals footy is massive. Suddenly there's a lot of players at Port Adelaide that haven't played finals footy. And the one where they talk about we're going to keep it the same, everything will stay the same. And then all of a sudden, we'll get Ando in to give a bit of a pre-game speech, or we'll get Ando in during the week, or Russell Liebert comes in. We want to get people that have played finals. We're not keeping it the same. So as soon as you start bringing those people in, it's not the same anymore.
No, that's right.
So is there an advantage, did you find, once you've been through the first lot of finals, you feel like, I can just say it is another game. I know it's finals, but I'm more relaxed. You reckon there's a chance? I think Port are playing the best footy they can play right now.
I agree.
And I don't know that they've got another gear, yet I suspect Richmond, maybe Geelong.
Geelong have played lots of finals. Richmond have played lots of finals.
That's what I'm saying, that experience. I reckon Brisbane are just a half a notch up on Port because they had the finals last year. Whether they're still as good as Richmond and Geelong, I'm not sure. We'll find out.
And it's probably not people on the outside. It's on the ground. Players that have played in finals and in grand finals and won premierships are relaxed when it counts. And some of that advice on the oval is you just can't pay for that advice.
Yep.
You can't pay for it.
It's experience. You can't. You've got to go through it to have it, don't you?
And those clubs have got it.
All right, mate. We saw Joe Danaher play on the weekend too. It was exciting to see him back after 400 plus days. Do you see him staying at Essendon, or you think
probably
he's
do
on
now.
his way?
Look, he's probably the situation where I think the club's done brilliantly by him.
Yep.
He's come back the last couple of weeks and he's been great. And he said he loves the club. And I think now he just wants to stay. I think he was questionable. I think he had a really frustrating the year before with injuries, and he seemed to blame probably a little bit of everyone but himself, reading some articles.
Yep.
But I think this year he just, he knew it was about him to get himself prepared with the support from the club. He's done it. He's played 2 excellent games, mind you.
Yep.
And I think he's pretty happy there.
Yeah,
I think he'll stay.
I mean, Essendon's a big club. You can see him moving mountains to try and keep him there. But the one thing that stood out for me was after he goaled, all his teammates are around him. So he's clearly popular within the group. So it's not like...
There's a lot of pressure. You don't go there. He's not going there to another club for for $50.
Well,
he's going to go there as one of the highest paid players with 2 years under his belt that have been questionable.
Right. Yep.
And in the way that he can't get himself on the field.
Yeah.
The easy thing for Joey Danaher is get your body right, love your footy club. It's all at Essendon.
Yeah.
Don't put that added pressure on yourself.
I just really like him. I like the way he enjoys his footy. I reckon he gets us as a spectator. Whether you like Essendon or not, you've got to like him.
You can't take the Ungary out of Joey
you
Danaher,
can't,
let me tell you.
No, all
all
right,
the Danahers are the same. They're just a fantastic family.
All right, we hope the Crows can continue with the form they've got. We want the Power to continue with the form they've got.
I just want to say last week, absolutely fantastic. Got Rachel Laurie. What a
in the lounge
superb
down there.
And the lounge and the whole setup.
You want to get down to Ray White Real Estate down there on O'Connell Street, don't you?
I was wrapped. I was, when you walked in,
you're wrapped because you barracks for Port Adelaide. That's why you're wrapped, mate. Don't make and she knew who you were. Talked about your McGarry medal. No wonder you were happy, mate.
No,
you sat on the lounge for a while going, let's have this conversation. I'm pretty happy where I am. Hope you've enjoyed the show, everybody. Look forward to your company next week. Bye for now.